Hi, I'm Garcella Robinson and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome. So I feel like, especially if you already been here enough, I already got like, I believe like 70 something videos out. I feel like you already got a feel of me. So now I feel like I'm very somewhat comfortable enough to tell you guys my favorite books of all time. All right. And that's the video that I will be bringing to you. I guess that you could say these are recommendations, but not really. I'm kind of just like giving you guys a view of my favorite books that literally has been stuck in my head the years to come. Now, one thing I will say is that this I will not be giving y'all any of my favorites for this year. That video will come sooner or later down the line once we get closer to December, okay? But so these are all the books that I end up liking 2024 and past years. Okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Now, this was a little hard. I decided to just do my standalones because don't get me wrong, I have a lot more books that are my favorites, but I wanted to separate the two because I feel like this video just would have been super long. And now I will say I don't really have a lot of standalone favorites, but I do have a little just a little smidge of amount that I can tell you guys to, give you some insight on my reading taste or books that literally just had me in a chokehold for years now, okay? So let's go ahead and get into the first book. So the first book that is my top favorite, starting off with R.F. Kuang book Babel. Now when I read this, I even end up annotating. This book was so literally so good, okay? This book was so good. It had me crying. I love the aspect of the whole entire thing. I love the background of the story. She just really did her thing with this one, all right? And this story has literally lived in my head rent free. If I had to recommend any book, Babel will definitely be one of them. Now, going into a synopsis, we have our main character. Well, not even really a... Yes, he's our main character. And end up telling about how he was poor before and he ended up getting taken in by kind of like a professor. He ended up adding him to, I believe it was Yale. Yeah, I believe it was like Yale or something like that. Oh, Oxford. He ended up adding him into Oxford, and he ended up learned for him to perfectly know Mandarin because before he just knew a broken version of it, and he ended up having him pretty much own his craft in that. And the way that they have it is in this school, even though they're knowing different languages, they're sending them across the world doing kind of like trials and everything. He ended up meeting other people and he noticed that the whole entire thing is toxic. They were conspiring for his family and a lot more other stuff. Now, I love this book. I love this book. I believe I rated this 5 stars. And this is the book that kind of just made me fall in love with R.F. Kuang. Because I've read her Poppy War series first. But after I read this lady literally had my soul. I end up getting Yellowface. I haven't read that one. And I'm waiting for my copy of The Broken Binding for Catabus to come out for me to read that one. But I'm hoping to add that to a favorite too. But this is the first book that had like one of my top favorite books. One of my top favorite books. Now, the next book that I want to mention is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRae by V.E. Schwab. Now, I read this. When I read this, the one thing that I can remember, the reason why it got such a chokehold on me is because I was reading this book. I was already falling in love with it, but I was on due for one of my leaves, right? I was on leave and I went home when I was on the plane and I was just like, I was like, okay, yeah, I want to finish this book. So while I was reading on the plane, I don't know if y'all ever had this moment, but I was literally at the end, I ended up breaking down crying on the plane. Then people were looking at me like I was crazy because of how much this book had me in a chokehold, okay? I was crying so bad. The tears was just running down my face because of how this author wrote this story and how she ended it beautifully, okay? Beautifully. Now, just a quick synopsis for we end up having our main character. She was from like kind of like this village, and I believe they promised her to they promised her to somebody to get married, and she just didn't want that life. So she ran away and ended up praying to the gods for them to kind of make a miracle, that she wanted to be able to live her life however and forever, however she wanted. So one of them ended up coming and granting her wish by giving her the her the ability to, that anybody who meet her will forget her. So she kind of like, it shows you her traveling through the world, like she done lived on for years, literally years, all the way into her whole entire village got, she ended up dying, dying, life ended up continued to go on. She traveled the world, and everybody that she met forgot about her until she finally meet a guy. I believe it was like in New York or London. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't read this book in a long time. But yeah, she ended up meeting this guy, and he actually does remember her, and they kind of end up having their own little story. She actually was so happy to finally find someone that actually remembered her after all these years of being forgotten. And this story was so good. It was so good. This is another book I definitely would recommend. And of course, this is a standalone too. But the second book of my top favorites is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRae. Like, literally pick this book up. Pick this book up. If you want to cry, pick this book up, okay? My top favorite is, my book 3 that I love so much, and that is surprising because I don't usually read books like this, but when I was into my, literally I was watching everybody on YouTube, I ended up watching Mel Reads, and she was like pretty much gushing about how much she loved this book, and I was like, okay, let me pick this book up and see what the talk is about, okay? And that is The Lessons in Chemistry. I love this book so much. I end up tabbing it and everything, writing notes. Like, this book was so good. I feel like it really showed the power of how much like women can succeed. Okay, it shows the power of how much women can succeed. Now, in this book, we have our main character. She's a scientist, and she ended up having to kind of like work her way up to being recognized. Okay, and in this, like, in the workplace that she has, she ended up falling in love. And she ended up getting pregnant. And after she get pregnant, her husband, or I believe it wasn't her husband, because she didn't want to get married, because she didn't want to just be seen as her, like, she didn't want to just be seen as a wife, like she wanted to be seen as a scientist, which she was. But she ended up getting pregnant, and she put off like them getting together, and sadly the husband, he passes away, and she's pretty much have to raise their daughter by herself. And after that she ended up raising her daughter and having a hard time of them like actually accepting her, because and giving her excuses. Like, she just kept getting the door shut in her face. She went through so many trials, and she finally ended up having like a whole thing ended up happening, and she ended up going on the cook show, and she ended up showing women that cooking is just science, and she shows them new dishes to make. But she also tells them like different aspects of the world. She ended up giving them advice, and everybody was loving her, but all she wanted to do was be a scientist and be a great mom for her daughter. And this author did this so well. Like, I love this book so much, and this is another book that I will literally continue to rep. Okay, continue to rep. But yes, pick up Lessons in Chemistry. The fourth book that I want to mention now, listen, guys. Listen, okay? We getting a little bit more darker, all right? Because this is my dark romance. But, okay? No judging, all right? No judging. Keep the judging off my channel, all right? We read whatever we want to read. But yes, the next book that I want to mention is Sick Fucks by Tilly Cole. I love this author. I just have to say, like, if you pretty much look over here, you can see that I got Tilly Cole. All right, I love this author. Especially when I was younger, when I was reading books that I should not have been reading. We all had our moments. But this is literally a book that I literally just had to buy the copy of. I read this when I was younger, and it really just kind of like, I don't know, I just love the crazy aspect of it, because it kind of do give me like a Joker and Harley type vibe. But we have our main character, and well, two main characters, because it's a romance, and they were in this kind of like this community. And her dad was like really really evil. Her dad was really evil, and he ended up kind of like traumatizing these two kids by the things that he did for them. But they like pretty much the main guy. She called him, I believe she called him Rabbit. She called him her rabbit because she kind of saw the world as Alice in Wonderland, and because of all the traumatic things that she went through, she kind of was like, she was just like stuck in this world where she was just like, oh, I'm Alice, I'm Alice. Now, because of the things that happened, he ended up trying to protect her, the main character, and it causes him to get sent to jail. But he never forgot about her, and he finally goes back to get her and realize that she's kind of just a shell of herself. And he literally worshipped the ground that this girl walked on, and I love this so much. I love the dark version of the Alice in Wonderland retelling, and them going around just kind of killing people. All right. But yes, this book will forever have my soul. It's such a great read. I feel like it's such a great retelling too, especially in this author's point of view. And don't get me wrong, I hated the things that happened to these two characters, but I love the way that the author wrote it, and the way that the author got like put their love together, and the things that he was willing to do to protect her and just show her so much love. But yes, I would recommend Sick Fucks if you like that type of thing. Now, I'm not recommending to people who don't, okay? But people who do, this is the perfect book. And I feel like this is so slept on. Like, this book is so slept on. Like, this is the way a dark romance is supposed to be done, okay? This is the way a dark romance is supposed to be done. But yes, I would recommend this. Another book that, well, the next book that I have to mention that is a standalone is one of my favorite dark romances too, and that is Still Beating. Now, okay, you don't see it in my hand. I don't have the copy, but I literally have read this book almost 3 or 4 times. This is such a great story too, and yes, once again, it is pretty dark. It is pretty dark, but like I said, no judging. No judging. We don't judge here. But yes, Still Beating. So we have our main character, well, our two main characters. One of them is the fiance to her sister. All right. I know you probably thinking the same thing. You're like, what? Sister? Sister? It's supposed to be a romance. What the heck? Pause. Just wait a minute. Let me finish telling the synopsis. Just let me finish telling the synopsis. So yes, the fiance to, now they hate each other. And when I say they hate each other, they actually hate each other. It's not like, oh yeah, I hate you, but I still want you. No, they actually hated each other. So the girl, she was kind of like a party girl. She wanted to do whatever she wanted. So while at a party, he already went home, and him and his fiance already went home, the sister, the oldest sister. And she was at the part, well, she was pretty much at this club. And after walking out the club, she couldn't get no Ubers or anything like that. So she ended up seeing this like old dude just standing there, just kind of leering and looking weird, right? So she ended up calling her. She ended up calling her sister to come pick her up, but her sister was passed out asleep because she was at the club before, right? And they had went home, and they was gonna take the sister, but the sister wanted to stay longer. She ended up calling the sister didn't call, so the fiance was like, I'll just go pick her up and bring her back to the house. So he ended up going to get her, and they were like arguing and stuff like that. And while mid argument, the guy was pretty much like, he was still leering and being weird, and it was just like, she was just like, hey, don't start it, let's just go home. And they end up getting kidnapped by, they called him the Valentine Day Killer, because he would get his victims, he would get them victims, put them through a traumatic experience until they fell in love with each other, and then he would kill them both and lay them to bed together, like lay them in their grave together. And he was like, pretty much, they've been looking for this man for the longest, but they end up getting kidnapped, and you kind of get the experience of how it would be for you to kind of like hold on to someone when you're going through such a traumatic experience, because they both literally, they went through the ringer. All right, they went through the ringer, and it really have you, I'm not gonna lie, it has you questioning your whole moral judgment. It has you questioning everything. But this book was just so great. Like, it was such a good book, mainly because of how the author, because the author doesn't really, she doesn't just give you the part of the dark romance, she also give you the part of them healing through everything that they went through. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have not read something that shows that where the author is like gives you that dark aspect but also shows them healing. And I feel like a lot of the times that's something that a lot of dark romances sleep on. Like, I feel like, okay, we understand that they went through traumatic, but how are they doing to fix this? Like, what are the steps that they are taking to kind of like, what are the steps that they are taking to get out, well, to, I wouldn't say feel better, but like talk to a therapist. How was it after dealing with their families after all this traumatic stuff happened? And the author actually give you that. And I would definitely recommend that book too if you love dark romance too and want to experience something a little different. If you haven't read it, okay, if you haven't read it, such a great read. And also, yeah, such a great read. Pick it up. Now, the next book that I'm going to mention, now I do have the book. I really just don't feel like getting it. A lot of the times when it comes to, if I already read the book and I just want to make more room on my shelves, I kind of put it in like a little storage bin in my closet, and I just don't feel like going all the way through it. But the next one that I have is The Long Walk. This is another book that's my favorite. Okay, that's why I can't wait until the movie come out. And I can't wait to see it. All right. I am so ready for that movie to come out because it was such a good story. This, I feel like it's similar to, well, it is a dystopian, and in this dystopian, in The Long Walk, we have it where like the kind of the world is just poor, and they have this like game where they pretty much walk as long as they can, and whoever end up winning end up getting riches, food, everything that they could ever want. So our main character, he ended up signing up to get the draft, and they end up walking. They have rules where if you slow down and they give you warnings, they'll end up killing you, or people will just go crazy from walking, because it's not like, it's pretty much like, it's not where they're walking and then like you have to get it to the finish line. No, you literally walk until you're the last one standing. Like, there aren't no second winners, there's only one, and nobody has ever won this game. So you end up getting the aspect of like the traumatic experiences they're going through. It was such a great story. This actually what pretty much what made my love for Stephen King and what made me end up getting more into his books was The Long Walk. All right, The Long Walk and The Institute, but mainly The Long Walk. I love this book so much. I would continue to recommend it. It's such a good story, especially if you want to get another dystopian book. Well, a dystopian somewhat horror book. But yes, I would recommend this too. Well done. Well done. Well done. Now, since we showing my favorite books, I just have to, this is my last one, okay guys? This is my last one. I know this is kind of short. It's kind of hard for me to find a book that I feel like stays with me. You know what I'm saying? That I still remember to this day. Like, literally, I know the whole entire book, and I don't mind reading all these books literally over again. But sadly, the TBR, as you can see, the TBR is forever continuing growing. Okay. So I can't sit here and just be rereading my favorite books over and over again. All right. But this is the last one. This book, so if you don't know, my whole family, we are a bunch of readers. Literally, my mom read, my mom reads, she reads more romance. That's what made me start my whole entire romance journey, and what got me into reading in the first place is just romance. My dad, he loves to read a whole bunch of historical books and anything about African American history. My auntie, she loves to read horror books. She loved to read horror books. She actually the one who recommended The Long Walk and this next book that I plan on getting into. And my sister and my brother, they love to read, but they majority of the time they read like mangas and stuff like that. All right. And books that I end up recommending them are books that we end up buddy reading together. But the last book that I plan on mentioning is The Jigsaw Man by Gord Rollo. Now, I've been wanting to own this book for a minute, but I never see it in the bookstores. And also, I feel like it's going to be one of those books that's really small, and I hate getting those books. I be wanting my books to be a little big, okay? But yes, this is the last book that I have. Like, this book literally has stuck with me for years to come, okay? But it's one of my favorite horror books, all right? Now, in this book, we have our main character. He's homeless, and he pretty much lost everything. I forgot what he did, but he lost everything. And he finally he ended up getting a proposition that he'll get a little bit of money, because he'll do anything for some money. He ended up getting a proposition from a doctor to meet at this address, and that they wanted to do some stuff, and then they'll give him money at the end. But when he gets to the house, it's literally a whole horror show. The doctor is literally like, he ended up paralyzing his victims, because he's known for killing people too. He ended up paralyzing his victims, and you go through the story of this homeless man trying to get out of that house. And the ending, oh my god, oh my goodness, that message still scars me to this day. But it's such a great read. And it's literally like, I feel I was, because before, the reason why I didn't read horror books, because I was like, how can you get scared from reading, you know what I'm saying? But that mess scared me. It was so gory. Like, it was just well done. It was well done. And yes, that is the last book of my favorite standalones. Now, I really don't have a lot of favorite standalones. That's why you can tell by this super short list. But these are all the favorites that I have from 2024 and beginning. Now, the series, that's a different story, okay? I have a lot of favorite series. But as far as standalones, I don't really read a lot of standalones. That's why this is such a short video. But I still wanted to give you a little insight on the types of books that I love to read, and also possibly give you some recommendations if you have not read these books, because I recommend every single last one of them, all right? Every single last one. And I will stand 10 toes down that you will give these 5 stars if you read them. And if it's your cup of tea now. Don't be jumping into some of these books that you like, oh, I can't believe Garcella recommended these books on her channel, and I don't like it because that's something I don't read. I'm not recommending it to everybody. I'm talking about the people who actually love those genres, okay? If you love horror and want to try that horror book, then try it. You will love it. As far as somebody who only read romance and want to jump into this horror, you might not like it, okay? Just like if you want to sit there and read contemporary, and you read contemporary and then you jumping over to the dark side, and the dark side ain't meant for you, okay? No offense, but stay in your lane. Unless you like that type of stuff. If you like that type of stuff, you are in for a good time. Yes, you are in for a good time. But I stand 10 toes down on all of these books, okay? You would definitely rate them 5 stars. Maybe a 4.5 or a 4 if you got some a little bit of problems with them. But I still take it. I'll still take it. But thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I had so much fun making this, and I can't wait to bring you guys my favorite series of all times. You can already tell if you watch a lot of my videos that I've been dropping a few hints and recommending those books over and over again, because I just can't stop. Well, this is my favorite. It's my favorite. Like, I would literally recommend them to anybody. But yes, that's all I have for you guys today. If you read any of these books, let me know in the comments if you like them too. Like, you know, let me know in the comments if you like them too, or if you have any recommendations that you would give of your favorite books, all right? But yes, once again, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.